Today on the Bistro, something a little bit different. Don't drink your calories.
Now, I'm sure everybody's heard that phrase, right? But what does it actually mean? And that's what we're going to talk about today and how it relates to how we eat or drink, in this case, on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I mean, back in ye olden times, I remember I used to drink soda and sweetened iced tea and orange juice and grape juice and like all this stuff all the time. And I never gave it any thought, but only to find out like, wow, there's a lot of calories in that stuff. It's really amazing. And it offers almost zero nutritional benefit. We could stop the video right here and that would be great advice, but there's a lot more to talk about. There's more to say.
All right, so we're going to start off with an obvious villain, air quotes, and that's soda. Now, there is a wide variety of different sodas, some proclaiming to have health benefits, but the bottom line is how many calories do they have? And the biggest reason why we're suggesting that you don't drink your calories is that a beverage is not going to fill you and not going to stay with you as long as a solid food would.
Right. It's going to go through your system a lot faster.
So sodas in general tend to be loaded with sugar. And if you get a diet version, then they're loaded with false sugar.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll get onto the fake sugars. Put a pin in that. Right. We're going to talk about that.
Put a pin in that.
I got words.
I thought this was a great place to talk about it. But what do you want to talk about soda then?
Oh, okay. When it comes to soda, like she said, there's some that have real sugar, which is still not good for you. Some have high fructose corn syrup, which is really, really bad for you. I'll talk about that too. And then there's the fake sugars. The plain old sugar, here's the problem, is it doesn't actually contain anything good. Like there's no fiber, there's no anything to really make it a good thing. And then when you get into the high fructose corn syrup, that is actually really hard on your liver. And a lot of people who are trying to lose weight might already have fatty liver. People who are diabetic and having problems, like myself, probably already have somewhat of a liver issue in some way. So high fructose corn syrup is really, really hard on your liver, and it is not good for insulin sensitivity. So if you're trying to lose weight at all, try to avoid high fructose corn syrup. We've been reading labels for years, and it is unbelievable the switch that has happened from sugar to high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, we will gladly buy something that has actual cane sugar in it before we'll buy something that has high fructose corn syrup.
Now, when she says that, she means like sauces and other things like that. We try to avoid anything that has high fructose corn syrup in it.
Now, there is another thing that happens with high fructose corn syrup, and many studies have shown this to be an actual thing, and that is that it doesn't just not satisfy you, but it starts to create and trigger the craving sensation. So the more you consume of it, the more your brain wants you to have more.
Yep, those food companies know what they're doing. They get you hooked on something and they make you crave it that much more. I'll talk about the fake sugars for a minute. Being diabetic, the first instinct is, lower the carbs. Not really the best way to go, and that's not the course of this video, but in that comes sugars. And a lot of people seem to think that carbs equals sugar. That's not true, okay? Carbohydrates can be broken down into sugars. When you take straight sugars and put it into something, that's a very different thing than, say, like a whole grain piece of bread or a whole grain pasta, or eating a whole grain like oatmeal or oat groats or barley or things like that. Very, very different things. So let's just get that straight right off the bat. But the fake sugars, it's a natural thing to say, I could just eat that then, like using sucralose and using stevia and monk fruit and allulose and erythritol. There's all these different ones out there. And the thing is, some of them are naturally occurring, but in very, 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 very small amounts. Like they don't occur in a natural state in enough to actually have an effect on you as far as taste goes. So we're multiplying that by 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times sometimes in the amount that you're adding to something. And a lot of drinks that say no sugar added have one of those things in it. That's how they make it taste sweet. Now, once in a while, they're probably not a problem. And I'm just going to say this right now. I am not a doctor. I can only go by my own experiences, my own research, which is a lot. I spend a lot of time researching how to get better, basically. And erythritol is something we avoid outright now. It's got some studies showing that it's not so good for you. I'm not going to get into the whole controversy of it because some people say it's fine, others say it's not. If enough people are saying it's unhealthy, I'm going to probably say it's not healthy and I'm going to avoid it because there's other things I can do. But the one that I found that is actually pretty good is stevia. As long as it's really stevia. Stevia is often packaged with erythritol. That's where you got to be careful. Monk fruit, same thing. They package it with erythritol. Read the labels. That's the best I can tell you. Because these fake sugars, we don't really know what they do yet. Like in the doses that are in these beverages that you would be drinking, we don't really know. The scientists don't really know what it does to you long term. They're labeled as generally regarded as safe, GRAS, which basically means if you have a small enough dose, it's probably fine. But go drink a 6-pack of cans of a soda that's sweetened with these things every day. They don't know what'll happen. And a lot of them will actually interfere with your gut biome and things like that. So, you're taking in all this fiber as a plant-based person to have a healthy gut biome. These fake sugars mess all that up. So right there, they're not a good idea in any amount of quantity. Now, if you have some once in a while, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you, here's what's healthy and here's what's not. Here's a good idea. Here's a bad idea. What you do with it is totally up to you, because I'll be totally honest. There's diet tonic water out there that has sucralose in it that's supposed to mess with my blood sugars. It doesn't, thankfully. Some people it does. And I do have an occasional cocktail using that stuff.
And that's a great segue to our next obvious villain, and that's alcohol.
Yeah.
Not only does
Guilty.
alcohol have calories if it's a sweetened beverage or put into a cocktail with other sweeteners, but the alcohol itself is full of calories. And so you can be drinking just in one little nice tidy cocktail
Hundreds of calories.
A whole meal worth of calories.
Yeah, it depends on the cocktail. Just to give you an idea, each gram of alcohol is, I want to say, 7 calories. It's either 6 or 7 calories. So it's right up there with fat pretty much. And that's for a gram of it. So like a 1.5 ounce shot of a standard whiskey is right around 100 calories. Just for a 1.5 ounce shot. So you put that in a glass. Now you add in some simple syrup, like say you're making an old fashioned, some simple syrup. Now you just added, a tablespoon or 2 of sugar. That's going to be like another 70 calories. And then you're going to add other things to it. You already put that to a couple hundred calories for one drink. And it's really amazing how fast that adds up. Never mind the sweeter liqueurs and like the peach schnapps and your Malibu rum that she actually likes. All these things really add up super, super fast. So it's kind of important. If you're trying to lose weight, alcohol, keep it to a minimum.
Yeah.
Eliminate it if you can.
Yeah.
But keep it to a minimum.
Speaking also of a gut biome, you want to destroy your gut biome? Drink some alcohol.
Yeah,
alcohol is a real destroyer of the ecosystem that is your gut.
Yep. And let's talk about gut biome for just a minute, too. I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't eat beans because my system can't handle it. You get gassy and that kind of thing. Well, here's the thing. It's because your gut biome is basically flipped the other way. You have the wrong gut bugs. Okay. If that's the case, you have the wrong gut bugs because you've been eating things that promote the other type of gut bacteria, which isn't necessarily as good. I'm not going to get into the technicals of it, but if you start eating a proper whole food plant-based diet and a lot of legumes, your gut bacteria will actually change to a different type of bacteria, and they can break those things down a lot easier, and it reduces the gas and bloating and all the stuff that comes with it. To get into that mode, all you got to do is start small. If you can't handle, like the typical serving of like half a cup to a cup of beans a day, start with just like a tablespoon or 2. Just get a little bit into your system. And then every day or every couple of days, add a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I mean, on an average day between the two of us, we probably eat the equivalent of a can or more of beans each on an average day. And I don't really have any issues anymore. I remember we used to when we first started. We had some bloating and some gas.
So since we're on this gut biome segue, another really way to help out your gut biome is by increasing your fiber intake.
Oh, yeah. Fiber is the biggest thing. And that's why legumes are so big for that, because they're a carb, a protein, and fiber. I mean, they're almost the perfect food. Almost, because there's some things missing, but they're almost the perfect food. just really fantastic. I don't think you can eat enough beans if you really want to get technical. I know Dr. Greger says a half cup serving or a cup serving a day is all you really need, but I don't know. I go for more than that. And a lot of time I'm mixing beans with another protein type like soy curls or TVP or seitan, things like that. I'm doubling up on that. By the way, things that count as beans are like tofu, sort of, because it has some of the fiber removed. But tempeh actually counts as a serving of beans because it's the whole bean.
Tempeh has an added benefit back to the gut biome.
The butt biome? We're almost at the butt biome.
And that is that it's fermented.
Yep.
So it is a full bean that has been fermented. And fermented foods are perfect fuel for your gut biome.
Yeah, soy curls are another one that's actually still the whole bean. So it counts as like a serving of beans if you have enough of the soy curls. But back to drinking.
Yeah.
We could just talk
get
forever.
sidetracked.
There's
It's
so
a thing.
so much going on. So this is one of the things that makes trying to have the proper diet so challenging is that things are interconnected and work differently in different situations. There is some slight variation from person to person, but mostly it's really not that different from person to person unless your body has been used to something for so long that you do need to make some amount of an adaptation. I just want to give one quick example before we get back to liquids again, and that is among beans. Let's take beans for just a moment as an example. I saw a video where somebody was talking about a study where they compared black beans to chickpeas. Now, interestingly enough, they're both legumes. They're both, high in fiber, high in protein, this and that. One of them helps with high blood pressure. The other one does not. But the other one lowers your triglyceride levels. Unbelievable. They're both legumes. They're both beans. They're both very, very commonly eaten, but they actually do different things. And when they interplay with other things, they might react even more differently. And that's where you can never say, always do this or never do this. Well, some things you can say never do, like never have high fructose corn syrup. I can say that never. It's never a good idea to have high fructose corn syrup. How's that?
All right. So we talked about the obvious villains in the beverage realm. Let's talk about some questionable fellows. And the first one we're going to talk about is sports drinks.
See, I think they're bad. If you read the ingredients in them, they're sugar mostly.
Yeah.
They're just full of sugar.
Every time I think of a sports drink now, I can't help but think of the movie Idiocracy.
Yeah.
It's got electrolytes.
Yeah. Brondo. That's what it was.
So if you are in a stress situation, like you're a triathlete or you're installing roofs or garage doors on multiple story garages and you've sweated like all of your hydration out, which please hydrate everything.
Water is still all you need. I'm sorry.
There might be some minerals that have left the system and
they're in your food.
That's what the sports drinks are advertising that they're going to help you with.
But they don't really do it. I'm sorry. I always thought of sports drinks as total crap. They're just marketing hype. There's very little scientific evidence saying that they do anything good for you.
Right. So you can drink something different. For example, coconut water is a great replacement for those electrolytes that you've lost without having the added sugar. Now, not all coconut water is created equal. Yep. Some of them have a lot of sodium added to them.
Some of them have sugar added.
Some of them have sugar. Some of them have extra fat. So again, in all cases, read the labels.
We should have called this episode Read the Label.
But you have options, and just keep in mind, what is your motivation for drinking these things?
True.
And is there perhaps a different or better solution for that?
I heard it said that the only liquid humans really need to drink is water.
Water.
I'm going to argue that there's a second, and it's coffee. And if you've ever seen me when I first get up, you'll understand why I say that is a requirement.
We're going to get a coffee later.
Yeah.
All right. So the next questionable thing, and I'm probably going to get daggers thrown at me, is plant-based milks.
Yeah, they're not as healthy as people like to think they are. As far as something to drink as a beverage, there's usually a lot of fat, a lot of sugar, a lot of things added. Emulsifiers are a big thing. I've learned a little bit that emulsifiers, like any gum, guar gums and stuff like that, they tend to wreak havoc on your biome. Now I'm saying your gut biome, and they mess with people's blood sugars and your insulin sensitivity as a diabetic. Well, actually, as anybody, but they can help lead to problems down the road. So we don't use a lot of them. I mean, once in a while we'll use some. You might notice in our recipes, there really isn't a lot of that. If I need a milk-like product, I will actually make my own using cashews or, some other nut to blend that up and get my own. That way I'm getting the whole nut in there rather than extra added stuff and all these extra chemicals and things like that.
Yep.
I mean, yes, I know we sound a little bit ironic. I said I have a cocktail now and then I'm worried about these things. Yeah, because you know what? I cut it out where I can. It's that simple. I do the best you can is the best advice that I can ever give anybody. But in order to do that, you have to know. In other words, you can't just, if you have no idea, then you're going to do things wrong and not have any idea that you're doing it wrong. In other words, if I'm going to do it wrong, I'm aware that I'm making a bad choice. I'm very aware this is a bad decision. But that's the difference, is I know it's a bad decision. So it's my choice if I do it or not. When you're tricked by marketing into something that you think is healthy, that's when things get scary, because for years I was told a lot of things were healthy that I found out really are not. And I believed if I made it myself at home, it was automatically healthier than if I bought it. Like, for instance, pastas and sauces and things like that, which there's something to that, but it's not exactly the same. So I was still making very unhealthy food choices because I didn't know any better. And now here we are 8 or 9 years later, and I'm learning some of the mistakes that I was making. And now it's common sense, but back then, I would have believed that was a totally fine thing to do.
And we're learning more every day, and we strive to do so. We know that new studies are coming out every day about the effects of these different things on our bodies, and we want to be as well informed and as up to date as possible, because we have learned through experience that even medical professionals don't have up-to-date information. And so you can't blindly go by somebody else's opinion, even if they're your doctor. Now, I'm not saying don't trust your doctor. I'm just saying keep on yourself to keep up to date.
Yeah. Most doctors really don't know much about diet. And most doctors, and I'm saying most because not all, there are some that are starting to wake up and realize that there's more to it than popping pills. Most doctors, if you go in with any kind of problem, their first instinct is not to ask you what you ate or what you eat. It is to prescribe a medication. That is not solving the problem. That's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on the problem. And you're going to have to keep replacing that Band-Aid. And that, unfortunately, is our medical system today. Whereas for us, we like to look at it from the root. What is causing this? Like if I get bad numbers for several days, I say, okay, what did we do different? What did we do differently? And 9 times out of 10, I can narrow it down and we make that change and things improve. If I had gone to a doctor, they'd just prescribe me more metformin, or they'd put me on insulin, or they do this, or a million other things. That's not necessarily the answer for a variety of reasons. That's a whole other video.
All right. So another beverage that is typically deemed as good, but really isn't, is fruit juice.
Yeah, this is a big one. A lot of fruit juice is just as bad or sometimes worse than sodas.
Yeah, it's basically liquid sugar.
Yeah, because here's the thing. An orange is totally good for you. Okay, if you eat that whole orange, minus the peel, you don't have to eat the peel. But everything else that's in there, you're going to get vitamins, minerals, you're going to get water, you're going to get sugars, and you're going to get fiber. And it's the water and the fiber that make a lot of the difference, because if you just squeeze that, usually they concentrate it too. So you have even more than just the straight juice, which means it's going to fill you up less. So you're going to feel less full, and you have no fiber. So it's just going to go right through your system. And it's literally just empty calories. You're drinking sugar water. That is one of the times that I say that a real food, even when it's just juiced, is not a good thing. It's actually really a bad thing. And fruit juices in general are just that way. Very few of them are actually a good thing. I put them in the same category as soda.
Yeah. So if you are craving fruit, eat some fruit. Don't drink it.
Yep. I tend to eat 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 of those little mandarin oranges a day, usually an apple, and usually at least like, what are they, like a pint of blueberries or strawberries, like half of one of those every single day. I'm diabetic. They keep my numbers down. They don't raise them. They actually help keep my blood sugars low.
Berries in general are full of antioxidants, which are super good for you.
And fiber. And they're low in sugar.
Eat the fruit, skip the juice.
Yep.
All right.
Can we just, because this leads into smoothies.
Okay.
Smoothies are different because you might think, oh, that's just juice. But it's not, because if you make a smoothie, you're using, like, say you use blueberries in your smoothie or strawberries in your smoothie, you're using the whole fruit. So you are still getting it. Now, one thing that makes smoothies less than great, okay, they're still good for you, depending on what you put in them, obviously. But if you put all good ingredients in it, it's still good for you. The difference is it's much easier to drink it than to eat it. So you can drink it a lot faster than you could eat that same amount of food.
And if you're not paying attention to your volumes and the calorie count, you can make a smoothie. Oh, it's just a glass.
You can make a 1,000-calorie smoothie.
It'll have tons of calories. I'm actually working on a smoothie video where I'll have multiple recipes in one video.
She's been saying this for a month.
That I'll be sharing all the macros of those, so that way you can create a well-balanced meal in smoothie form without overgoing on the calories.
And the trick to smoothies is, once you've got it, don't just like drain the glass in 2 seconds.
Take your time.
Take your time. Just like you should with food, too. I mean, I'm guilty of this one as well. I just suck the food down as fast as I can get it in. I spend all this time making it, make it perfect and everything like that, and then eat it in 2 minutes. I don't know why.
All right.
We try to do the mindful eating, but it barely works out. She's trying to keep this on track, and I'm just like, you know what? We're just disseminating information. I think this is good.
All right, I think we have spent enough time saying that is wrong. Let's focus now on what is right. So there's some really great options out there for you to drink what will satisfy many of the things that you're getting from these less than perfect options that
like
don't
water.
have all the calories. Water, of course, is perfect to drink.
Water.
It's the best thing to drink.
Absolutely.
Drink all the water. Make sure you stay properly hydrated throughout the day. Are you doing physical activity? Make sure you have a bottle of water with you. Are you going outside to work in the garden? Make sure you have a bottle of water with you. Are you mowing the yard? Drink the water.
Also, a rule for how much water you should drink, like the old adage, 6 8-ounce glasses of water. None of that is actually true. Here's how you know how to drink enough water. When you're thirsty, drink water. I'm not even joking. That is literally the way to know. That's what thirst is for. It's to tell you that you need more water. That's literally the reason we get thirsty.
I've noticed a really odd thing that my body does. I'm not sure why, but if I start drinking water, then I tend to get more thirsty and want more water. And sometimes I'll go like on a water binge where I'm just like, water is the most delicious thing ever, and I just can't get enough of it. And I have hydration issues, so I'm just figuring that my body is catching up going, you really haven't been hydrating well enough, so let's do it all today. So there's things that you can do to water if you really, for some reason, hate your water.
Make it coffee.
First thing is get your water tested. Like if you have lots of chlorine or chloramines or whatever they put in water,
it'll make your water taste horrible.
It'll make it smell bad and taste bad, and that will be less appealing for you. So get your water tested. If it needs to be filtered, there's plenty of filtration systems available.
Even the little pitcher ones that you put in the fridge, they work great.
So work with something that works with your budget and that works with your flavor profile. So that way you have easily accessible water to you that you're willing and wanting to drink. Also, you can infuse water with fruit. So this is kind of on the verge of, aren't you just doing fruit juice? But I'm talking about slicing actual whole fruit and putting it in the water.
Yeah, it's better.
So
it's better than whole fruit juice.
Right. It's going to flavor
especially
the water
if you eat the fruit afterwards
ever so slightly without adding a significant amount of calories. I'm not saying add fruit juice.
Cucumber water is actually really good because it adds almost no calories.
And
changes the flavor drastically.
Berries are great. Watermelon is great. There's so many things you can add to
Actually, you can just
water.
eat watermelon.
Yeah,
and
watermelon
hydrate yourself.
is
It's
fantastic
actually
for
really good.
hydration. Yep. So that leads into tea, because tea is basically water with stuff that you steeped in it.
Now, when you say tea, do you mean the actual tea leaves, or do you mean like any herbal type tea?
I am collecting the full spectrum.
Okay.
So tea leaves, like green tea and black tea, bring caffeine to the table as well. So
Caffeine saves lives.
caffeine sometimes gets vilified, but it's not necessarily the worst thing ever. It's a good idea that you test it and make sure that you are not super caffeine sensitive. I am caffeine sensitive, so I have to limit my caffeine intake, and I have to cut off when I consume caffeine. I can have it in the morning, but after lunch, if I have it, I'm probably not going to sleep that night.
I tend to restrict it after, like, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I haven't tested. I don't think it affects me that much anymore. I just don't think so. I used to only do like 1 cup of caffeinated coffee in the morning because it was starting. I had the idea that it was affecting my blood sugars. I tested that theory on and off and on and off, and I can't find any real difference. It does for a very short period of time, like literally for like an hour, and then it drops back down. So I've been doing like 3 and 4. I have a grumpy mug, like, from the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. It's about this big. It's like a 16-ounce mug. I'll do like 3 of those a day of coffee. Now, I drink it black. I don't put sugar. And that's the other thing is, like, coffee and tea are fine.
Yeah.
It's what you put in there that makes it bad.
Right.
Because a lot of people are putting honey and sugar.
I was going to
all
save
kinds of
coffee
stuff
for
in
later,
there.
but we've already talked about it, so we'll throw it in there because it's basically another thing steeped with water.
Yeah.
So coffee is fine. It does have the caffeine. And surprisingly enough, lots of people assume that the caffeine amount in coffee is stupendously higher than the caffeine amount in black tea.
It's about 3 times.
It's not like...
But it's not a stupid amount of caffeine in a cup of coffee.
Right,
no.
right.
But tea is usually 30 to 50% of black tea is 30 to 50% of the amount that's in coffee, but it also depends on the coffee. If you have espresso or how it's brewed, that can change a lot of things.
The roast size, how you are actually making it. Brian could do a whole video just on coffee.
Probably.
If you're interested, let us know.
I don't know that really fits this channel too well, but we can see.
So then that leads, we were still talking about caffeine.
Yep.
And another thing other than your personal reaction to caffeine is your reaction to caffeine plus something else.
Right. Yep. Well,
Brian had a bad experience.
3 times I had a headache or something hurt, like my hands are starting to get more arthritic as I get older. So I would take acetaminophen to ease the pain. Well, I found out through trial and error that acetaminophen mixed with caffeine for me in my current physical condition and age and whatever you want to call it, makes me ill, like as in throwing up for like 2 days.
Yeah. It really messes with his system.
We didn't know that's what it was. And there was, I'll just tell the story. There was one day, it was for recording for the bistro. I felt like I had a headache and it was like an hour before shooting time. And I'm like, okay, I already had my coffee because we start relatively early in the morning. I already had a couple mugs of coffee and I was like, all right, I'm just going to take acetaminophen, Tylenol, whatever you want to call it, for my headache. I took it. Within 45 minutes, I started feeling kind of like queasy. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just because I haven't really eaten anything yet today and I had all that coffee. I don't know. So I ate an apple. Within 20 minutes, my stomach was empty again.
Yep.
And I was sick for a day and a half.
Yeah, and he's taken acetaminophen without the caffeine and he's fine. And then he's
like if I take it way later in the day,
caffeine without the acetaminophen and he's fine. It's the combination of those two that
and it affects everybody a little bit differently.
Are really bad for him. So
I avoid it now.
Just keep that in mind. Caffeine is a drug and it can react badly with other drugs. So.
Something else about coffee and tea in general is they're considered diuretics, and they are, which means it makes your body excrete more liquid. But it's been exaggerated. I read about this a little while ago, that the effect of the diuretic is actually quite exaggerated. Like to the point that some doctors and some experts are now saying that coffee and tea count as water for the day. because it's just not going to be that much of a diuretic effect.
Now, there are some plus sides to green tea and black tea,
Oh, yeah.
and that is that they both help regulate blood sugar.
Yep, they do. And blood pressure too, I think. They do a lot of things. There's so much in there.
Yep.
Plus, they're anti-inflammatory because they have that chemical that's on the tip of my tongue that I can't think of right now. But they have that in there, and it helps with that too. Yeah, I'll have to look it up and put it on the screen.
Then you do the deep dive into the whole world of teas and the different botanicals. And there are so many great things that you can make teas for that are going to help you out. Whether you have a headache or an upset stomach, or you're feeling anxious, or you need to calm down a little bit, there's more than likely a tea that's going to help you out.
Since we discovered that acetaminophen affects me that way, since we discovered that acetaminophen affects me that way, we've actually gotten with a friend of ours who is an herbalist.
Yep.
Is that what? She's actually like registered or licensed or something, right? And we figured out, well, Derica figured out a bunch of recipes for teas for various things. Like if I'm having a day where I feel nauseous, which isn't as common since I stopped the acetaminophen, but if that happens, we have a tea for that. If I have a headache, there's a tea for that. I get brain fog every once in a while if my blood sugars are off. So there's a tea for that. All these different things. And it's actually been really great. There's a lot of times that I'll just be like, hey, can you make me a tea? And she says, which one? And I just tell her my symptoms and she makes me tea. And usually within about an hour, it actually has a strong effect. It might not get rid of it completely, but it takes it down to a level that's tolerable and like I can get through the day and still work.
Right. And that's great if you can accomplish that without taking medications, particularly if you have a medical condition already and are already taking medications.
Right. Yeah. That because it shouldn't interact. I mean, be careful because some things do, but you know, most of the stuff that we do, it's not bad.
As always, do your research.
And we could probably even do a video on that.
Sure.
Those recipes for the teas. I think we could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I will actually link my friend's channel, the herbalist that we were referring to, because she really gets into teas and tinctures and other fun things that you can do with different herbs. And she's very friendly and laid back, so it's easy.
She'll answer your questions and help out. Yeah, she's actually really cool.
Yeah.
What else do we got for don't drink your calories?
We were on to what to drink rather than
what to drink.
Yeah. So we got coffee, tea, water. That's basically
That's pretty much it. I mean, we've experimented with like the LaCroix things that are like carbonated water.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing with those is they have some flavor, but like the one that say it's grape, it's like somebody 4 miles away thought about squeezing a grape and that's how much flavor got put into that LaCroix. It doesn't have much, but it is better than plain old water. Now, funny enough, it's just carbonated water, okay?
Yeah,
it's literally just like club soda with a little bit of fruit essence in it. There's 0 calories, 0 sugars, 0 anything. I have actually heard people saying that they're bad for you because they have carbonic acid and it'll destroy your teeth. And I'm just like, that applies for anything carbonated.
Yeah.
Anything. If you really are going to say that LaCroix is that bad for you, oh, wow. What do you consume? Like, for real? Because they're just, I can't imagine how they could be dangerous. Now, you don't want to have like 20 of them a day.
Now, before Brian gets too much on his rant, there are certain conditions where carbonated beverages are bad for you. So if you have serious stomach ailments or other things like that, you're going to want to avoid carbonated beverages in general, regardless.
But you would know that already.
Sugar. Yeah.
That doesn't make LaCroix special in that aspect. Sure. They're making it like the LaCroix things are bad. Now, there was a time that LaCroix had something in them that was unhealthy. I forget exactly what it was, but it was like 7 or 8 years ago. And they've since changed their methodology for doing things. So that's not even true anymore. And there's a bunch of others out there now. There's Bubbly, Bubble or something like that. It's like Michael Bublé, but it's Bubbly.
So many.
Yeah, and those are a little bit better. There's a lot of different kinds out there. Spindrift is another one.
Yep.
There's a bunch of them. And they're better than drinking just plain water if you're looking for something with flavor.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to say it.
If you were a one-time soda addict and you just need to have something sparkly, then yeah, those will fit the bill without causing too much damage.
We have replaced soda in this house with those. And I probably drink 3 to 5 of them a week. I don't even go for that many.
Yeah, I don't drink very many of them.
Yeah. we don't. We did for a little while, and then we kind of stopped. What else can you have?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, I'm sure we're missing something here.
Sure.
But read the labels, look at the amount of calories, because that's going to be the biggest determining factor. If you read one serving as 200 calories, I probably would seriously reconsider that particular beverage, just because, wow, 200 calories just from one serving of one beverage is insane. Even 100 calories is way more than I would ever consider in a beverage, unless it was a special occasion. It was, just your one treat for the day maybe, or, that kind of thing. It's fine. I'm not going to tell you don't ever do it. Always and never are two words I don't like to say.
Yeah.
Because
all things in moderation, even moderation.
yeah, her dad says that all the time. Moderate your moderation, or take your moderation in moderation, something like that. Anyway, you get the idea.
If you have any craving, be it food or beverage, here's a simple trick that may help you out. Just pour yourself a glass of water, drink that glass of water, and then if you still have a knack for something, then maybe it's okay to go ahead and have it.
Yeah. I should probably do that more often. I tend to snack a lot. But anyway, if there's anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, we like doing these kind of talks. I mean, obviously, this is a fairly long video for this channel, but leave it in the comments below, and we'll look into it and see if it's something that we want to pursue as a talk. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.